And welcome to the 12 o'clock show. No music today because we're going to get right into it. We've got a lot of things. But first off, let me welcome our Reynoldsburg Community Liaison, Yamuna Adhikari. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Mayor.
I'm thrilled to have you on because I don't think a lot of people know what you do. And they may see you in City Hall and working with our community. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in what you do here.
Sure. I am the Community Liaison Advocate at Reynoldsburg Police Department. I serve as a bridge between law enforcement, city government, and local community agencies to support and provide resources for our community members.
Yeah, go ahead.
Additionally, I also speak Nepali, so whenever there is a language barrier between our officers or the City Hall staff, they call me and then I help them with translation.
Which is always good. I hope you don't get too many phone calls, but I can imagine it happens a lot.
I don't mind. I love helping, so.
Well, that's good. Now, some of the programs, I know you've done some other things too, where you try to get community members to come to City Hall. What kind of programs have you kind of started for community members?
Yes, I have done various community events, including domestic violence classes, meet and greet with our chief and the community members. During our DV classes, we talked about domestic violence rules and regulations in the U.S., as many of our new Americans might not fully understand the DV rules. So educating them has been very helpful.
Yeah, I'm not sure everybody understands the domestic violence rules, but we'll go with the new Americans for right now.
Yes.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you face?
There are many challenges that I have come up so far. One of them is whenever I give resources to our victims, DV victims, they don't follow through right away. When I follow up after 2 weeks, have you called them? They haven't done any of their homework. So that has been challenging. The other challenges has been whenever I go with our detectives to Nepali household for some kind of cases. Sometimes we don't have enough resources for Nepali individuals yet, like a counselor who speaks Nepali. So that has been kind of difficult.
Well, it'll get something on our to-do list, I'm
sure.
Oh,
yes, yeah.
So, well, I know that we have, at least we have one officer that is Nepali, so I think that is a benefit to certain things. We're always looking, so I know Chief tries to get as many recruits in as possible on that one. So, and now my favorite question for you specifically, because you see a lot of different parts of our community. Out of everything, what's the best part of your job? What would you say?
There are many things that I love about my job, as this is a new position that Mayor has created for the city. One of my best part is going on a ride along with our officers, where I go with them on a cruiser and then I get to see what they do right away and provide support for them. And there are times where they go to a Nepali household while I'm on call, so I help them right away. Yeah. So that has been very fun and rewarding experience.
Well, I like it because you put yourself out there, you're helping our community. I truly do appreciate the stuff you do with our domestic violence program, because obviously that is an issue just in general, and anything that you can do to help educate people to understand what it is and obviously why you shouldn't do it, but that's always appreciated.
Yes, and I also help our city attorney's office. I'm at Mayor's Court every Thursday to help them get the files. And whenever they need interpreter service, I'm always there, but just making sure that everything runs smoothly during Mayor's Court.
And hopefully most of you have never been here, but if you speed, then there you go.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate it. Any quick questions, anything that come up?
Nope, nothing yet.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I know you have a lot to do. I really appreciate everything you do for the city, and thank you for taking some time to come on the show.
Thank you, Mayor,
today.
and thank you all.
See ya.
So always a good time. One of the things that we try to do is find ways to connect with all members of our community, and Yamuna has done a great job for the last couple of years working on a few things. We do have a kind of a cool announcement for a celebration of sorts. On Friday, March 20th at City Hall, we are going to be celebrating the official day that Avery's Law goes into law at the state level. So you remember Avery was the young lady who was attacked by dogs and kind of inspired a lot of us to be better people and also find ways to help make sure things like that don't happen again. So on Friday, March 20th, State Representative Meredith Lawson-Rowe is going to be hosting a reception right here at City Hall. And refreshments are going to be served, so I assume we're going to have some cookies. But it's going to celebrate the courageous work of everyone involved, from Avery and her family to the first responders that were on the scene, to basically go through, turn tragedy into triumph. Now, locally, we've already passed our law and the state has passed it and it goes into effect this week. So hopefully you can make it out. That's next Friday. So you'll see that on social media soon. Details are still kind of finishing up just today. So you'll see that in the next little bit. Code enforcement time. It is that time, and you wouldn't notice it because it's raining today and it's probably going to get cold a little bit for the next couple of days. But no mow May is no mow. We are done with no mow May. We are still going to allow for pollinator gardens, and there's going to be an information session on March 28th. So check out social media for that. We'll have a couple of organizations, including Franklin County Soil and Water and others, talking about all of the requirements and best practices for somebody to participate in no mow May. So if that is something that you're interested in, go ahead and check it out. Parks and Rec did a great job getting all of these resources together for everybody. Always have fun when it comes to road updates. So if you hadn't noticed, Wagner Road actually had people on site the last couple of days. There were some crews out there before the rain started. So you will see them working on streetlights, and the traffic light at Priestley and Priestley and Wagner will be installed next week, but they're working on streetlights this week. And then when the weather gets a little bit more cooperative, you'll start seeing the sidewalks being put in and some of those types of things. So that is moving right along. As soon as the asphalt factories open, which at this point looks like to be early to mid-May or mid-April, we'll get the crews out there and they'll be paving everything. And then phase one of it is going to be predominantly done. They'll do some touch-up work here and there, but for the most part, that will be taken care of. And phase two will start in not too much longer. Taylor Road, for those of you that live out on Taylor Road, I mentioned this on one of your pages. The work that was done on Taylor Road from the AEP substation to Broad Street, again, once the asphalt factories open up, they're going to go ahead and repave that particular area. Probably late April, early May is that one. Also wanted to let you know that the construction traffic and some of the muck and everything that's kind of coming out of there was addressed today. So they know that they have to take a better care of that road area and clean that up so that way cars aren't slipping and sliding on things like there. We do have some cool things about street signs. Somebody mentioned on social media not long ago that there are 3 different types of Reynoldsburg street signs that are out there right now. So a lot of those are going to start to be replaced probably beginning next week. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. Weather today, probably not so good to get up on the big, in the bucket trucks and things like that. But all of those things are going to start. You'll probably see it at the intersections first, like the exterior parts of town, and then moving into the residential neighborhoods. But the goal is to have all of those street signs replaced before the end of this year. Fire hydrant cleaning will happen this summer. We're going to do things a little bit differently. Instead of doing all of the fire hydrants in one day, we're going to do it in a couple of different shifts. We're going to do one half of the city one day, another half of the city another week not long thereafter. As soon as we have that kind of tied down as far as when the timing goes and how the boundary is going to be split, we'll let you know. But you'll know ahead of time, so that way if you're wondering what's going on with, say, water pressure or things like that, that will be taken care of. And the last kind of street-related thing is the Wendy's wall. The wall in between Wendy's and the other location that kind of looks like it's falling apart is actually going to be taken down as soon as a couple of other things get taken care of. But we are going to take that wall down, and slowly but surely we'll start to replace a lot of that stuff throughout the Main Street corridor. So got that to look forward to. Any questions or comments for everything?
Nope.
All right. Well, come on, folks. Let's go. We got plenty. I know you're not outside today. If this was yesterday, you would have been outside. Our parks programming is always going to be exciting, and we're getting to that time where more and more things are going on. Specifically, next one up is the Easter Bunny Breakfast, which is March 28th. I think there's still room available, but I'm not 100% sure. But that'll be at the Senior Center. You can stick around for a little bit and then head to the Lions Club Easter Egg Hunt not long after. That begins at 12, and again, it'll end about 12:02. They do break it into age group categories, so not everybody's going in at the same time. Also saw some good questions this week about development, specifically the recreational marijuana facility. So this was actually approved about late 2024, and it has taken a little bit of time for them to go through the internal process, coordinating with the state and everything else. But all of that was there. We did talk about it at council. I know I've talked about it on the show a number of times. A lot of it is due to the support that the community showed for the passage of I think it was issue 2, where well over 60% of the Reynoldsburg residents were in favor of recreational marijuana. The building is scheduled to open up in late April or early May. I'm hoping that they open up in April because there's a 420 joke in there, but we'll see if that actually happens. It'll open up in May, but all of the funding from that comes from the tax that the state has put in play, that money is actually going to be dedicated to improving civic parks. So a lot of our civic park plans that we've talked about the dog park and disc golf and things like that. Those are going to be some of the funds that are going to be used to help improve Civic Park. We also had a great grand opening yesterday, the Defined Hair Salon. So you may have seen the post earlier today on social media. It's in that kind of area around where Jones Bridal and the old Ohio Select was. It's one of two new shops that are opening up there. It's a beautiful interior location. They really did a good job with it. It's two Nepali refugees who came here about 15 years ago, decided that instead of working at other people's salons, they would start their own. So go ahead and check them out. The one thing that I think kind of differentiated them from a lot of other places is they have, what's the phrase of the head massage?
The head spa.
Yeah, the head spa. So that is something that they have there. Check it out. Apparently it's incredibly relaxing. So that'll be fun. We'll have another couple of grand openings a little bit later on, specifically the candle shop. That'll be when it gets just a smidge warmer. As far as other things, I mentioned the Lions Club. We also have the Reynoldsburg Raider-thon from the Leo Club. So kind of save the date. We'll have some more details as we get a little closer. But on April 18th at the Summit Road campus area, that will be there. So you can check that out. All funding for that dedicated to pediatric cancer research. And anything else before the next big one?
Go ahead and finish and we'll come back to it.
All right, we have the Reynoldsburg Education Foundation's favorite event, Purse Bingo. They have a date. It will be Saturday, April 18th. It's going to be at 11:30 a.m. at the Riverview, I think it's what it's called, the Riverview or Eagle View at Blacklick Woods Golf Course. This is where you spend $40 for a ticket and you get 10 bingo cards. And it, again, Purse Bingo, guess what happens when you get bingo? You get to pick a purse. But they're going to have all sorts of highbrow purses in there. I think, it's upwards of $6,000 worth of purses, including Louis Vuitton, Kate Spade, Michael Kors, and of course, Coach. So there you go. So if you're interested in that, go do it. I do know that they have limited numbers of tickets because it's a relatively contained event, but they're on sale now. Go ahead and check them out on the website under Reynoldsburg Education Foundation. I've never met somebody that after last year that walked out that wasn't happy with what they got, even if they didn't necessarily win a purse. It was a lot of fun. I hope you can check that out. All right, some other summer events that are coming up. Again, concerts on the lawn are being planned out right now. We have some cool things for as we get closer to the 4th of July to America 250. It's going to be kind of more like a picnic in the park type of an environment at the Livingston House, so we'll have some more details for that. But you also have the Beatles, Grateful Dead, and Reelin' in the Years. We do have a food truck festival, but I don't know if they've got a musical act for that one yet, or I've not been told about it. And then, of course, the big news for today is to get everybody geared up because it is that time again, pageant time. Applications for participation in the Reynoldsburg Tomato Festival pageant is going to be open on April 1st. This is for Reynoldsburg residents, 1st to 12th grade, for all of those fun groups. Now, keep in mind, this is not, all like, competitive pageant for the younger grades. A lot of it is very simple about when you get your name drawn out of a hat. So everybody's in there, but for the high school king and queen and things of that nature, it's a little bit more competitive. I have to answer some questions about Reynoldsburg and things, and I'm sure they'll have some more information about nominations for senior king and queen as well. All right, what's questions? I saw a couple of comments come in. So what do we got for us today?
This would be a great opportunity to maybe talk about Engage Reynoldsburg. Someone has a complaint about the north end of Bryce Road that's full of potholes and the physical plant maintenance in Reynoldsburg.
All right, so Bryce Road. So yes, Reynoldsburg Engage is a wonderful app that instead of having to do what usually happens, which is either call into the city hall and the street department to report a pothole or going on Facebook and tagging me to let somebody know, a much more efficient thing is actually our Engage Reynoldsburg app. You can pick it up from the App Store or Apple iTunes. It's Engage Reynoldsburg, and you can go ahead and take a picture of it and submit it. It'll actually locate specifically, so if you're actually right there where the pothole is, you can do that, or you get close enough to the ballpark, we'll figure it out. Usually our pothole crews are out within 24 hours, depending on when everything is submitted, so you can check that out. But the other part of the question was...
just a complaint about the physical plant maintenance.
Physical plant, all right, so I need some more details about that. If you could provide a little bit...
There wasn't much.
Yeah, if you could provide a little bit more commentary. So obviously, planting right now with the weather is one thing. So if there's something more specific, just let us know, because I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to for that one. Ultimately, though, as the weather gets warmer and everything, trees and plants and all that will be a little bit better taken care of all the way throughout.
Right, and then we just got 2 of the same question,
Okay.
and they want to know who is performing at Tomato Festival.
That's a really good question. I'm waiting for that information as well. So this is what goes on. So just to make sure everybody kind of is aware, it's not like I'm purposely trying to keep this away from everybody. Believe me, if I could tell you, I would. So what happens is we get a generalized list of performers that we know are going to be touring during the summer. And then once we get that list, usually it's sometime in October, November, December, we start kind of going through the list and picking, different groups that kind of hit the markets that we're looking for. So one of my particular rules is I don't want to necessarily have just a one-hit wonder. I want to make sure that we have bands that have a couple of hits that people are familiar with. That's within our budget, and then we submit those kind of particular, like our top couple of the acts to the entertainment company, and then we start looking at, okay, we want group X. Are they available either that Friday or Saturday for the Tomato Festival? Sometimes they are available, and then that's when we go into the next step of negotiations. Other times, we've had things like a couple of years ago, we were looking at In Vogue, but they couldn't do it the first year, so it took us a couple of years, but we finally got them once the schedule worked itself out. So that's where we're at for this year, is we have a couple of bands that have been identified, and we believe that everything is working as far as scheduling is concerned. We just have to wait for them to go ahead and sign on the dotted line, and once they do that, we will be able to announce. As I was talking to someone earlier today, artists tend to have their own timeline on certain things, so they will get it signed eventually. But we're looking forward to it. I think everybody's going to be pleased. But as soon as we are able to get that information out, we will do so. And then we'll go through the same thing that we do. Sometime in the summer, we'll open up the area for the preferred seating reservations for that Thursday and Friday and Saturday night. I do believe we have it scheduled that Friday night will be our R&B night, and Saturday will be our kind of like 2000s-esque rock night. We're still working on the Thursday night because we had to figure out what our budget was between the other 2 nights. So, good questions. Anything else?
Is the Briarcliff flood mitigation still at a standstill? It
is still at a standstill from a federal grant portion of it. That's not a priority for this administration, so they do not anticipate opening that grant window anytime soon, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as we go through. That being said, we are looking at some of the other smaller options, which included kind of doing some different things with our drainage system within that particular area. So we have a meeting actually scheduled for next week to kind of take a look at what process it would be for us to kind of go in and start replacing, instead of having some of the small water grates that only let in this much water, to have them open up a little bit more and things like that. So, but it's a good question. I wish we could do more. I know we were hoping to have this taken care of really about a year ago. It just has not worked out that well, but we are checking it periodically to see if they open up that window, and we'll see what happens. But I appreciate it. It's a good question. All right, with that, there is no 12 o'clock show next week. My wife's on spring break, so I'm taking a little time off to spend some time with her. So that's going to be our own celebration of National Women's History Month. But again, I do want to thank Yamuna for coming out. One of the things that kind of spurred on bringing someone into the office is with the number of Nepali residents that came in, whether it was not necessarily just because of police-related issues, but anything coming in from making sure to pay the water bill or asking questions about, building a business or things like that. It's always good to have somebody that is here on site that can translate, in addition to some of our other options, which, is a phone call translation service and things like that. So we will continue to endeavor for that part. And again, we're always looking for police officers, so check that out with Chief Baker on that one. But one good thing that's going to happen is when we come back on the 25th, we will have our water department billing supervisor, Pam Underwood, on the case. So I can only imagine the number of questions we'll have about the water department on that one. Just to kind of give you an update, if you didn't know, we get our water from the city of Columbus. So last year, when we were informed of what the water rate was going to be increasing to, 18% by the city of Columbus, the city of Reynoldsburg, Bexley, and Gahanna actually scheduled to meet with the city of Columbus to start discussing why is it that way, what is going on. And so we had a meeting with them in November of last year, and they promised that they were going to start looking at the contract that had been signed X amount of years ago and making sure that everybody is being treated equitably, especially considering the fact that the residents of Reynoldsburg, Gahanna, Bexley aren't the ones that should be supporting the infrastructure projects that Columbus is trying to do for outside businesses. There's not a real direct correlation between the economic benefits of those businesses in the city of Reynoldsburg, so I don't think that we necessarily have to have our residents pay for it. So those conversations are ongoing, but one thing that we are going to do is we are going to start a program that is going to help those of us that are economically disadvantaged, similar to a program that Columbus does have, to offer additional discounts on water and sewer rates. We are still working through it. We hope to have something presented to council in May, but we'll have a general idea of what that looks like when Pam comes to us on the 25th. So we are trying to find ways to alleviate some of the costs for the water department, for the water fees all the way out, without still being able to maintain the care and infrastructure process that we have to take care of. So, any questions?
Yes, a couple more.
Okay.
Back to the flood mitigation, they are
Yeah.
asking if is that a public meeting when that happens?
We'll have something in there for that particular part, but there's not. This is more or less for us to figure out what a process and plan would be to start doing some engineering scope. It's not really exciting in that regard, but before we do anything else after that, we will go ahead and announce what's going on. Most of it is going to be related to things that you're not going to notice a difference. We're not going to be digging up people's yards or destroying streets or anything like that. It's more or less going to be replacing some of the water ingrates all the way throughout. But yeah, we can have those meetings when we get that information.
All right, and then the next one is the light at Bryce Road and Main Street does not hold long for those going south on Bryce from north on Bryce Road. Can the timing be changed so the light holds a little longer heading south at that intersection?
So we've talked about that a number of times. It is set at about 12 seconds, which is a relatively standard for the amount of traffic that comes out of that particular area. The prevailing thought is that there's significantly more traffic going east and westbound on that particular section, which is part of the reason why it's there. There are also some things that we can't account for. People that speed through when a red light goes in when you're on Main Street, and that obviously means that you're not able to turn and make a left-hand turn at that point in time. Same thing as those people that are sitting in those southbound lanes that are on their phones that aren't paying attention. There have been plenty of times when I'm at that intersection and I always look at it and I count how many cars go through and I have that little stopwatch and things like that to kind of figure it out. So those are things that we can't necessarily take control of. The other part of it is all of that will hopefully be alleviated when we do realign the intersection. We had a meeting on that earlier today with that construction project starting probably in 2028. But for every second that you add onto the north and southbound axis of it means that you're taking away a second from the other side of everything. So that's kind of a give and take situation. So we can take a look at adding that in, but at the same time, I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make based on the amount of traffic that's there. But we will look at it and see if it makes a change, even if it's just something that's a temporary, to see if it does help alleviate some of those issues.
That's it.
All right. Well, everybody else, again, have a good week. It's not that I don't want to talk to you guys next week, but I'm going to be off. So we will see you on the 25th with our water billing supervisor. Everybody else out there, stay safe, stay respectful, and as always, enjoy your March Madness ballots, because I think that'll be up there before I get back on, so everybody will be participating in that, but not here in the city, of course. And as always, make sure you put your shopping carts away. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.